pressure fades. Choice remains. Respect begins. Only with you. Breakfast with benefits.
I am a parent. I have the ability to teach my kids almost everything. How to eat, vegetable, fruit names, banana. We teach them manners. We teach them how to sing, how to draw, how to exist in this world. But one of the most important acts in this entire world, we are silent. It's like a taboo. We don't say any single word. We let them learn it from internet. We let them learn from their peer, from strangers, and from porn. Yes, sex I'm talking about here. Kids grow, become strangers, suddenly doors start closing. They roll their eyes, they don't hear us anymore. Same kid who wouldn't let you go before one more story, mommy. One more back spread before bed. They don't listen. Mike Domitrz gives the magic key to those closed doors to open with respect, with language, with the right tone and the timing. No more lectures. He gives us the actual working survival tool that kids actually receive. Oh my God, and he's here right now. After I listened to him live in Ransom Everglades, and I was chasing him. Can you come to our podcast, please? Because I couldn't write down everything and I couldn't record it because I was so excited. Okay, this is what I'm going to say, this is what I'm going to do. If he would come to our podcast and help all our listeners where we all struggle. Welcome to Breakfast with Benefits. I'm Bekza.
I'm Julia.
I'm Krista.
For nearly 3 decades, Mike Domitrz has been one of the sought-after speakers when it comes to building culture of respect. He works with middle schools, high schools, universities, parenting groups, even military. Author of the book, Can I Kiss You? Founder of the Center of Respect. Also featured as an expert in media like Dateline NBC, my kid will never do that. So, Mike, how many schools are you visiting?
One, thank you for having me here, all three of you. I love the energy. I love everything about this. This is awesome. How many schools? So it depends on the year. That's a good question. It really varies depending on the year, what's happening in the world. And right now, what's great is more schools are recognizing this has to be had. This conversation has to be had. So more and more schools are stepping into this space, which is beautiful because for years they were afraid. And out of fear comes only more misinformation or lack of information, and bad stuff keeps happening because nobody's teaching, right? So we have to overcome that fear to take on the challenge of how do we equip kids with the right skills? This is the key to all this, is they need skills. Giving them facts and knowledge and stats doesn't change behavior. They need actual skills.
I remember many things from your speech in Ransom Everglades, and some of the points I stuck in my mind. And one of them is you were saying yes to not to disappoint when you don't want to do it even, and how to teach them no is not a mean word. That stuck with me a lot.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thanks. So what we're referring to there is when you ask students in high school, when I'm in a high school, I speak to parents like you got to see me at, where I did a parent program, but also we do student assemblies. So when I'm in with the students in a student assembly and you ask 500 students, 200 students, 1,000, however many in that audience, hey, do you think a lot of people in high school are saying yes to sexual activity they don't want to have? And they're being given a choice. So the partner is asking them, do you want to do this? And they're saying yes, even though they want to say no. Does this happen a little bit or does this happen a lot? And you will hear the whole student body yell, a lot. So it's not like this is once in a while. This is a lot. And you ask them why. What are the reasons students are afraid to say no? And you never say, why do you? And I want every parent to hear this. If you ask your kid, why would you be afraid to say no? It makes a judgment statement that they have failed or they have to say the right answer. If you say to your kids, why do teenagers, why do your peers? Now it's not about me. I can answer the question, right? It's not a judgment of me. So same thing when I'm in front of the students. Why do you think this is true of other students? Why do you think? And they'll give the number one answer, which is, I don't want to disappoint.
Yes.
I don't want to disappoint. And to say no is mean. And that's why we preach no is not mean. Because that's one of their beliefs. To say no is mean. You don't say no to people you care about. You don't say no to people who care about you. And unfortunately, this usually comes from a specific place where they learn this. So I'll let you three guess. Where do you think kids learn this from?
Okay.
family.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the whole-
Yes, right.
Is it us?
From
Is
the
it
home.
us?
And also socially to fit in, right? They are
Yes.
afraid because they want to fit in.
To be
Right.
uncool.
Yeah,
If I do
It's
that, I'm
uncool.
gonna be uncool, or they're gonna talk about behind my back, something
All right,
like
so
that too.
that's a separate piece. Well,
Oh.
I'm happy to go there. So we can go there. I'll go there. We can go there next if you want. But that is actually a separate piece. It's not the driving force here. Because if it was that, if that was the driving force, I'm doing this to keep up with the Joneses, right? That old cliche. I'm doing this to keep up with others. Then I'm saying yes intentionally because I want this advantage. Right? They're saying yes where they want to say no. They don't, they're not looking for, it's not for that advantage in this case. And they're saying it because it's going to hurt the other person's feelings. And that's mean. And therefore I'm disappointing. And several of you said the home. That's correct. Most of us were raised in homes where our parents accidentally taught us not to have choices.
Yeah.
They didn't do it intentionally, but I'll give you a classic example. You walk up to your high schooler and you say, "Will you mow the lawn by 5 o'clock tonight?" Kid says, "Mom or Dad, not tonight. I'll do it in 2 days. I'm too busy." Well, what did almost every parent do 20 years ago? They
You
turned around
have
and
to
said,
do it tonight.
"You have to do it tonight at 5.
Yeah.
So what did the kid just learn? You gave me a choice. That was not a choice. Therefore, you do not say no to people because those aren't really choices. You can't disappoint. And parents will go, "That had nothing to do with sexual." It's a lesson that gets put in the compartment. It'll show up in other areas of their life. It didn't have to be a sexual thing to learn the lesson.
A little
at all.
concept. A little.
Correct.
Yeah.
A concept that you don't say no when given a choice to people in power or that you care about. And what parents forget about is the date, the person they're dating, they often look up to. So that is a person of power, ironically.
Yeah.
So parents go, "Well, that's not like me." It is in a way, because there's a power position there. They want to impress. They don't want to disappoint this person. So what we teach parents to do, and this is a really powerful lesson, is to go home and say to your kids, "Hey, there have been times in the past where I gave you choices that were not choices. And that's not okay. I should have either given you a command or given you a choice, not one that looks like the other." There's nothing wrong with a parent coming home and saying, "You're going to do the lawn by 5 o'clock today because that's your responsibility in our house." That's perfectly fine. You don't ask them and then tell them they don't have a choice. That's where the lesson goes wrong.
Yeah.
So you own it as a parent, and this allows them to go, "Oh yeah, I did actually." And I do, some parents will admit it. I do that a lot because that's just the way I was raised. You ask, but then if they don't say yes, you turn their answer. But this is also what their partners are going to do to them then. So even if they
He doesn't call you to blame us. Sorry, Mike.
Well,
I mean, I called you for something else. I'm closing that. I don't want it. I'm already guilty, feeling guilty every minute of my life. Please.
Well,
We're
here's the
just
good news.
passing on
We're
the
giving you
threat.
the course correction so that you can eliminate all the guilt.
Yeah. So your talks to parents group are much more different than you do the talks and assemblies in schools, right? To the kids.
100%. They're very different. Because you're talking this in an authority versus the person who's feeling the pressure. They're very different experiences, right?
Yes,
And
yes,
we're in a
yes.
different phase in our 40s and 50s than they are in their teenager years, right? So there's different places we're at in understanding. But many parents struggle with the same fears their kids do. So this is a great example of this. Basically, the example you just gave there about how you talk to parents. Ask most adults, do you still fear saying no to your boss? Almost 80% of audience
They will say yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But your
Yes.
We
boss
don't
is
say
giving
no
you-
to any people. Like
Yeah.
you have issues about
And
that.
boss
Yes.
is giving you
Yeah.
a choice for a reason because you
Yeah.
should have a choice.
Yeah. We are learning to
how-
say no.
It's scary to say no. And so, but we all learned it. We just want to break that is what we're going to do by course correcting. So you remove the guilt and the shame by course correcting. Owning it, right? Hey, I don't want this for the next generation. I want
Yeah.
you to I want you to know that no is not rejection. No is a choice. And that's very powerful language. When I say no to you, it doesn't even mean I don't want to kiss you. It means that in this moment, I don't want to kiss. It might have nothing to do with you. So the way I explain this to parents is, let's say that you're in a sexual relationship, a parent who's listening to this, whether married or not married, and your partner asks if you would like to have some fun sexually, right? And if you say, and almost everybody does this, is they say one word before they say no to their partner. They start with this word before they say no. Before they say not tonight, before they say not feeling it, they say this word. Anybody want to guess what the word is?
I don't know.
But no.
Nope. It's before, it's the first word. Here it is.
Yeah.
Ready?
I don't know.
Yes,
Sorry,
I do, but
Sorry, not
Sorry.
tonight. Sorry, I've got a
Sorry.
headache. Sorry, I've got a, right?
Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah.
Apologizing.
Why are we apologizing for making a choice? We're
Yes.
taught that even in marriage, even as adults sexually, this is disappointing and we owe them this somehow. So when we don't, we have to apologize.
This has to change from really core. I mean, we are Gen X. We are changing many things right now, but this is so deep.
Embedded in our DNA. Yeah.
Yes, Krista, that's 100%. It's been programmed for so long, right?
Yeah.
But here's the beautiful thing about programming. We can reprogram. So we teach people, and once again, instead of the shame, what can I do? So the next time you're about to say sorry, stop and go, wait, in your own head, I'm not sorry I'm saying no. I have the right to say no. I'm not rejecting you. I'm making a choice for me. Huge difference. Second of all, why would my partner want to have sex with me when I don't want to have it? How is that going to be a great experience?
Yeah.
Because you're men, that's why.
Okay, let's go there. I'm willing to
no,
go.
I couldn't help myself. Sorry.
A lot of
That's
people
okay.
say, maybe you'll say no first, but then you'll get into it later.
Yeah,
and it's gonna be fun.
I'll get you in the mood. I'm putting
Yeah.
quotations for everybody watching.
Some
this right
authors,
now.
even like I don't know if Estelle Perel, but some actually very famous authors, they encourage us to at least, maybe you're not feeling it right now, but then you might, get into it a little bit later.
Yeah. So say this, reverse it and take it out of adults and ask any parent, would you want your kid's partner, who your kid's not in the sexual mood, starting things off to try to get them in the mood when your kid's not in the mood? Almost every parent would be like, of course I don't want that for my kid. If they're not in the mood, they shouldn't have to do anything. Why are you at 40? Right? So there's nothing wrong with declaring that boundary. And now I want to go to what you said there, Reza, about because men, though this is part of the problem. We've taught the stereotype that men want all sex no matter how bad it is, which is a stereotype that isn't true.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
We believe in
So
that.
Great.
people want great sex. Most people want great sex. Let me put it this way. I should rephrase that. People who have a healthy understanding of sexuality want healthy sex. Now, if you have a repressed version of sexuality, you might not believe you deserve pleasure because it's your role to play a certain part in the sexual experience that isn't about pleasure or connection. There are people who have that belief. I'm driving from the place of, hey, this should be a beautiful experience for all parties involved, and therefore not just one, right? So instead, and many men hate this stereotype that I just want it all the time, which can be proven. Let's play a different stereotype. A man whose favorite team is at the biggest point of the game doesn't want you in front of the TV, even naked. So, but that's using a stereotype to crush a different stereotype. So I'm not a fan of that, but it proves the point. People can be, and you said you're Gen Xers. Well, you know that as men age, they don't perform on the second like they did at 22, right? So men don't like to talk about this publicly, but have the wrong dinner and you're in trouble, right? Don't like to have these conversations.
How about we put it in our own adult life? No. We want to focus on teenagers, our little kids. How are we going to introduce them? I know your book, and that was very nice. Can I kiss you? You were repeating, can I kiss you? No. And you told them, don't ask why at that moment.
Which is a traditional thing to do. So you say, hey, may I kiss you? And my partner says, no. Well, why not? And by the way, to tell you how common this is, you ask students, when you reject someone sexually, do they typically accept it with respect? Almost the whole audience yells no. That's how common this is. And you say, what's the one word question you will be asked? They all yell why. They know this is the routine. I will say no, they will ask why, which taught me I wasn't allowed to say no. They had coming up with a reason to overcome. That's what they want. They want your why to overcome it. No different. I'm going to go back to the married person.
So that they can convince you otherwise.
Bingo.
Right?
No different than exactly that, Julia. Your partner going, I'll give you an example. You say, well, I'm too tired tonight. I'll do all the work. A married partner could easily say that.
Negotiating.
Yes. Right?
Actually, now you said that.
Correct, right? I mean, you'll have partners will be like, you can just later, I'll do all the work. Like, think about that for a second, right? So now that's different than if your partner says, well, you know what? I am in the mood, but I'm tired. Okay, let me drive right? That's a little, but you're in the mood. That's a different ball game. Completely different. Because you're opening the door going, I might be a little, but I'm not the one with the energy tonight. Different conversation. But all these skills mature by the kids getting the right skills at the right age, right?
Yes.
So that's why this is so important. Because you said, hey, let's go back to the kids. Well, the fact is, if we experience it, easier to teach it.
And
right?
Mike, how did this mission started, this calling?
Yeah, certainly did not grow up thinking I would be speaking on sexual assault. So, as somebody who's in his mid-50s, these weren't conversations that occurred when we were growing up. You never heard about rape or sexual assault.
No.
The only way you ever heard about it was because on the news, somebody was attacked in an alley or a park. That's what you heard of rape or sexual assault. And that was it.
Yeah.
And I go off to college. And in my second year, sophomore year of college, I get a phone call from my mom. Now I have 3 older sisters. The phone call is to inform me that the youngest of my older sisters has been raped.
Oh.
So instantly, my life has turned upside down. We're all very close. I am deeply struggling through this. I'm away at college, not near home. So much so that I transferred back to college in my hometown to be near my family and my sister during the trial. So I changed universities to be close to it. And in that process, months later, I hear a speaker. Now, back then, we had never heard somebody talk about this. And the athletes were required to go, the college athletes, we were required to go hear the speaker. So I'm sitting there as an athlete with all the other athletes and realizing, wait, this person's talking about it. I could talk about it. And that's where all the doors opened for me. I followed up with that speaker, got information from them that inspired me to start speaking out. So when I was 21, I started speaking in local high schools at the university.
Really? You started that early? Wow,
So
Mike.
for me, this is a 35-year mission.
Amazing.
Amazing.
Yes.
That's where it all
Problem is the
began.
same. Problem is the same.
Yeah.
Teenagers are.
Many of it is still, sadly, much of it is still there, the same conversations having back then. Now, the good news is there's been a shift. First of all, I want to back up.
Yeah.
I started at 2021. It was not a smooth road because nobody was talking about it.
Yeah.
So to get indoors was almost impossible. And so I went into other areas of work to survive. But in 2002, the speaking world, some people knew me and they're like, why aren't you doing this? And that's when I came back to it and I went all in. So that's the last 24 years, this is all I've done. So, but the road was bumpy even back then in the 2000s and still is today to get into schools. You know, you got to see me based at a school that's proactive.
Yeah.
And so they address this topic. I'm there every year, not even every 4 or every 2. I'm there every year. So they're very progressive, very proactive about these topics and wanting to equip their students. So that's the battle we still run into 35 years later. The other big difference is that 30 years ago, when you'd have this conversation, there would be less knowledge of the topic.
Yeah.
And there would be more blatantly horrible things said by the audience.
Yeah. And no social media, right?
Right. No social media, but they actually said worse things because they weren't knowledgeable about it. So more victim blaming was obvious. Now the difference is they know what not to say. They have awareness. The issue now is we need behavior to match the awareness.
Yes.
So awareness has gone up, but behavior's not gone up all the way to the awareness. So the example of that is where you went to earlier, Beza, which is I walk on stage and I say, do most people ask or go for it? I don't ask, what do you do? I say, what do most people do? And the students overwhelmingly, like 95%, y'all go for it. Now, they've all learned about consent before I walk in the door. And I shouldn't say all. There are schools where there's exceptions. But the majority of the time, they've learned about consent, but they're still not asking. The awareness did not match the behavior. Nobody taught them the behavior, the skills to do it that was realistic. So they thought, well, that's nice in theory, but nobody's going to do it.
Do you think that has to do with the prefrontal cortex and the fact that they have a lot of impulsivity at this age, and then this matter of balancing, awareness with behavior is still something that it needs to be worked out at this age?
I wish that was it, Julia. Because then we could say by 25, we'd have good behavior.
No, it's not changing.
But if you look at this, yes, behavior does not improve in colleges and past on this topic.
Gotcha.
So what we notice is that your kids want to do the right thing. I can't stress this enough. And the reason we know that is we survey every audience. So when I walk out of that school, I have all 500 of the students' survey responses they do it on their phones on a digital format, and we can look at it. And 97% of the students are saying, I want to ask first after today. 96% are saying, I want to intervene.
That's really good.
Great.
So they want to do the right thing. The difference they believe is today I was given the skills in a way that I believe I can execute them. That's the difference. Where most schools are teaching them the definition of consent. They have conversations, well, what does that look like? But they don't role play. They don't challenge each other in the experience and overcome their barriers because they have some very obvious barriers, like it's going to ruin the moment. It's going to be awkward. I won't be cool. All these barriers, if you don't tear the barriers down, they are not going to change their behavior. That barrier will stop them from changing behavior.
Yeah, that's why you were so impressive, because you were exactly saying what to say at that very specific moment.
Correct. There's no sugarcoating.
No,
None.
no.
And the role playing, right? That's the way to kind of embed in this in kids to practice
That's right.
and play it out.
We're not playing games.
Yeah.
We're not sugarcoating. And what happens is the students are like, finally, somebody who talked to us like adults. They hate that being talked down to approach, especially on these topics that often happens. Somebody who said it straight. Now, when some schools could hear this and freak out and go, we'll never have them be straight talking, it's because they assume that means you're being graphic or you're being rated R, which is the farthest thing from the truth. These are PG conversations at best. And they're rarely even PG-13. I'm in Catholic middle schools having these conversations.
Yeah.
That could never happen if I was crossing any lines. But people think straight talk means inappropriate talk when it doesn't mean that at all. It means you talk to them with respect. You talk to them about their world, not about yours and trying to make their world like yours. It's being in their world that's the key.
And Mike, you said this conversation you've been having since the 2000s, right? What has changed and got worse from
Social media, you mean?
20,
Or-
that too, and from then and now?
All right, so we'll go worse and then we can go to what's better. If you want
Yes,
to.
exactly.
All right, so what's worse? Here's a major shift. When my generation was growing up, even your generation, some of you might be a little behind me, but if you wanted to see porn, particularly if you wanted to see a naked woman sexually, you had to hope somebody's dad had one of 3 magazines.
Yes, yes.
And I say dad because back then that's all that could be acknowledged, right? Even though we know that's not inclusive. And so you had to hope somebody had one of 3. Now you ask parents, what were the 3 magazines? Can you 3 remember the magazines?
Playboy, Hustler.
Yep.
Julia.
Good job. Penthouse. Penthouse was the 3rd.
I'm from Brazil. I know 2 from Brazil. I know that they came from the US, but what else?
No,
Penthouse
I'm
was the 3rd.
Turkish. I'm Turkish. We didn't have that, but
Okay.
I had older cousins. My experience with porn is they were finding Betamax. Even there was no VHS. Can you imagine?
Right, the video. Yeah.
German porn.
What? Now I'm curious. What's the number 3?
The 3rd one was Penthouse.
German.
Penthouse. Yeah, Penthouse. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
You ask this question of American-born parents. They can name all 3 in 5 seconds, even though they might not have seen one in 30 years. So when parents are like, oh, this generation's so sexually driven, you can remember the porn magazine from 30 years ago, and you're acting like your kids are any different than you. Here's the difference that's gone negative, and that was your question, Julia, which is the access. And what they are seeing is dramatically different than what we saw growing up. If somebody had Betamax or VHS, it was
That's my next question. Yes, it was the first word I learned was mach weiter, which is keep going in my first.
German Betamax.
Yeah. These kids are learning sex from porn.
Yes.
Nobody talked to us. Your parent did talk to you? No. Your parent talked to you?
No.
Nobody. But we need to tell them that's not real. And you gave, again, amazing examples in your talk, how we can tell them, boys, you cannot have sex like that. Girls, you're not an object.
Correct. 100%. So here's the deal. They're going to see it. We used to tell people how to censor, and now we realize that's not reasonable. It's just not, they're going to see it. So the question is, what lens are they seeing it through?
Yes.
This is what's critical. If you equip them to see it through the right lens, they'll see the comedy in it over the sexual attraction of it. So, example, in porn, somebody drops their pants and they're penetrating somebody in 10 seconds. That's going to hurt, right? That's going to hurt most people. So parents don't talk like that. Well, what if you did? Now, let me be clear. I don't say that part from a high school stage. We're talking as parents here.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
a parent could say that part, right? A parent could say that. That's going to hurt your partner. And it's going to hurt you probably. That's not going to be a pleasant experience. But that's what porn makes it look like, right?
Mm-hmm.
Porn does not show consent. Porn shows its objectification, and there's violence, many other things. The female body and the male body are not the normal body you're going to have.
No.
This part, everybody could talk about, and we do talk about in our more advanced programs with students, which is if you've never seen porn, this is typically if I'm with juniors and seniors, we'll have this conversation. You've never seen porn in your life. And let's say that you're 18 and you're in college and you're gonna have sex for the first time, or you're just gonna be naked for the first time with this person, not even sex. This person you're attracted to is naked in front of you for the first time. You are attracted to them. What are you thinking in your head? First time someone's naked in front of you. What do you think you might think? Women, men, doesn't matter here. The answer.
You?
Remember, you're attracted to them.
Wow.
Correct. Julia just nailed it.
Yeah.
It is wow. For most people, when you're attracted to them and they're naked for the first time, oh my gosh, wow, this is amazing. Now, you're not saying that out loud because you don't want to creep them out, right? But in your head, you're like, wow, 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 wow. Here's the fascinating part. Students will tell you that. Oh, yeah, you're head over heels. Same 18-year-old is lived in today's society, and they've seen porn since they were 14 or 15. Now they see somebody naked for the very first time at 18. What's their first reaction?
That's not what I was expecting.
Yep, judgment.
Sure.
Judgment, like,
That's
oh,
why,
this or that, or
Yeah.
and they lose the gift of the human body.
Yeah.
And
It's so
that-
sad.
It is very sad. And that the porn's always been there, but let's stress the difference. It was a photograph in a magazine for the most part. There was video, but for the most part. So you had to fill in the blanks of how things worked. You weren't seeing it physically take place. Today's porn is a video. So you're hearing and watching it and assuming that's what I have to sound like.
Yeah.
That's what I have to look like.
Yeah.
That's how I have to perform. So it's
Oui.
all performative now, right? And that's what they learn. It's my job to perform. Oh, I don't want to have sex with you. I have to give you oral sex because I got to do something. I can't just leave you in this state of grace. So all of that is having an impact. Now, I'm not blaming porn. I'm saying the impact it can have in these situations. So the lens we teach them through matters. Look, the male figure that they would see in porn, for the most part, is not what most males are going to look like in real life. And many women and men who are with men don't want that version.
Exactly.
To
I was
be
going to say
very
that.
honest
Maybe
with
that's
you.
not what I want. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
But they're projected as that's what is wanted. That's what you have to look like. So I've had young women ask, why do we have to be bare down there? Well, you don't. But porn has convinced them they have to.
Mhm.
If you went to the 70s, 80s, and before, nobody talked about that. Pretty rare.
I don't know what bare bone is.
What's that?
There, it's all shaped.
Naked.
Sorry, I'm Turkish,
okay,
so
you're good.
we are
No, that's
hairy.
why we're
Yeah,
having-
so we are very hairy everywhere. So
Unfortunately, there's a thing called Brazilian.
Yeah.
Brazilian.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you, Brazil.
Thank you, Julia. We love that tradition.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's
Yeah.
beautiful of you.
But this is a great example of lack of education because no mature partner is going to care. A mature sexual partner is not going to start being intimate with you, see there's, let's say, pubic hair there, right? And lose it and flip out and go, this is unattractive. If they do, you just learned how sexually immature a partner you have is, right? But parents, this is where parents can have these conversations. Schools might not be able to have that conversation, right? They're not going to let a speaker in who has that detailed of graphic of a conversation. But you can equip parents to. That's why we have the parent sessions, right? You can have these conversations. A mature partner is not going to care. They're going to be thrilled to be with you. They're going to be thrilled to be with you. And if they're not thrilled to be with you, they don't belong in the room with you. They should be thrilled to be with you.
I think one of the biggest issues is that we as parents, we might be immature in many ways as well. So how can we make this right? Because it's about us also being better educated because we came from that culture as well. We came from that notion that maybe some of us have performance issues, et cetera, right?
100%.
Teach your kids to be better if we ourselves
Yes,
are not.
but now what he says, like, because it's now more negative, they are exposed to porn like how many times more than us? As you said, we
Yeah.
just looked at magazines, a little bit German porn, but it wasn't. Their bodies were disgusting anyway. But right now, even the age goes, I can tell, 8, 9 years old boys knows the sound of a woman, for example, during.
Oh my God.
They know.
Well, they say the average kid has seen porn at least by 11 now, right? That's
Yes.
what there's research that says that.
Yeah.
So you've got to give them an education because you can't protect them from, a friend can show it to them. You don't know where they're going to see it. You could shut off all your computers at home. It doesn't mean they're not going to see it. And what it's done is it's led to the other element, Julia, of the negative, the nudes, the world of nudes, non-existent when we were growing up. Because if you took a nude picture of yourself, there wasn't a phone to put it on. So you would have had to take in it and it had to go to Kmart and get actually through the public thing where they did the
Develop it.
picture.
Yes, yes.
We would never do that.
Safe,
So then the only other way was Polaroid, right? That's the only way. And if it did happen, it was rare and nobody talked about it. What's interesting is Polaroid would be safer because it's an individual photo versus being distributed via text to hundreds in seconds, right? But that whole world of nudes is a big negative, and it's a ton of pressure around it. They think that's what you have to do to make someone like you or to be happy or to be your body to be accepted because of porn, right? My body has to be accepted. This all lays into each other and how this goes. But we don't want to do it through body shaming. So that's the danger. Parents will say, you know, you don't ever show your body. Instead of saying, hey, here's the problem with that. That's child pornography. You're still a child. You send that photo, that's child pornography. Call it what it is, because it's legally what's going on. And that's what legally can get them in trouble. This isn't that your body is bad, right? We're not trying to shame or guilt your body. Your body is a beautiful temple, right? And by the way, if somebody's listening to this going, I come from a place of religion, I'm not having any of these conversations. I think we should probably pause and address that because it shuts down a lot of conversations. So I'm going to pause, do that real quick. What does almost every religion say about sex?
It's a sin. It
Not
should
at
be
all.
done just
Not at
for
all.
procreation.
Only a sin if what? Only a sin if what?
Not married.
Not married is correct. It is only a sin if not married. So there's a timeline that they all are consistent on. They want marriage. Many religions want marriage, right? So that's the timeline. But I asked what it said about sex itself, not the timeline. What do
For
most religions-
procreation,
For procreation. So what religion do you think of when you say that, Julia?
Catholicism.
Correct. Are you aware that the Catholic Church changed that 40 years ago? They did.
No.
In Theology of the Body, Vatican II, they changed it to say that in marriage, you agree when you get married to try to create life. That's true. And that you can have sexual intimacy as an expression of love also.
Oh.
So it doesn't mean only for procreation. Now, parents hear that and they go, well, why didn't I get that update? Because your priest wasn't giving that update Sunday. That's why. It's just the reality.
Actually, get that update.
There is an update in the Bible.
Yes,
So-
layperson. Because I work with a lot of Catholic schools and I work with a lot of faith-based schools. And I've had priests in the room, people are like, he can't be right. And parents, and the priest is like, he's right. It does say that in marriage, it's an act of, it can be an expression of love. And so the reason this is really important is if you think, I'm not going to discuss this because of religion, religion actually says that sex is a gift from God to be treasured, honored, and respected at all times. And the human body is a temple to be treasured, honored, and respected at all times. If you believe that, if you're a person of faith, you would talk about it more, not less, because you would want your kid to have all the tools and everything they need to treat it like the gift it's meant to be, for their body to be treated like the gift it's meant to be. And if you say, well, we believe our kids should wait till marriage. Well, when they get married, where are they getting these gifts? Where are they getting these tools, these skills to be treated like the gift it's meant to be? That's why this education's pivotal.
In your opinion, how did social media impacted this whole dating scene and texting?
It definitely spread sexualization, particularly of women early on, but that wasn't new, right? I mean, we can find sexualization in 1950s advertising. We can find it 100 and 200 years ago, right? So sexualization of women is not new, but it spread it at a level of beyond advertising. It was in their every moment they were online, they could see it, right? And so that has changed it. And by the way, men and violence and conquering and this, that was spread like wildfire on social media. So what we saw were both things colliding that were negative. So men, here's what it means to be a man. It's that old masculine.
Macho.
This,
Yeah.
right.
My son is obsessed about his, six packs, like six packs.
Yeah.
Like you don't even know what six packs means, or the girls are looking to six pack, like because of the social media. That's the body now.
That's right. That's the body.
So
right?
the body image.
But if you look
right?
at it 100 years ago, a woman who was more well-rounded would be the terms, was considered sexy than today's version. So it changes with cultural norms. The problem is that it changes. It shouldn't matter, right? So I tell parents, attraction absolutely matters. You can't ignore attraction. That's a natural thing that should exist between two people. Right?
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be Hollywood attraction. That's the problem.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be online version, porn version of attraction. Are you attracted to them? Do you have a chemistry attraction to them? Because anybody who's been married a long time, for me, it's, we're at over 30 years. And
Wow. Congratulations.
No, yeah.
You want to look at them and find them hot.
Yes.
You want them to look at you and find you hot. It feels good. It's attractive. It's fun. So to say attraction doesn't matter sounds like we're all robots. We are not robots. Attraction. Here's the deal. Make sure they are attracted to you and they're not just your body. That's the difference. And many kids aren't taught that difference. How do I know the difference if they're attracted to me versus my body? Well, how do they act when they don't get your body and they get you, but not your body? How do they act? Do they try to change your answers? They respect them. Do they suddenly not spend time with you and they pursue others? This is telling you something, right? But what are the red flags of talking to kids about infatuation versus real attraction, right? Infatuation versus love. This chemistry can be on fire. That can be
I mean, you're answering everything I was going to ask you, Mike, by the way. Those were my questions.
Yeah.
You're like this. Yes, my question was that exactly there. That how I'm going to teach my daughter that in sexual relationship that she's not an object. If she learned also from porn, if the boy also learn porn, they both will not know how the real beautiful interaction is.
Yeah.
That's right.
Or how to read when you are in a healthy or unhealthy relationship, which is back to the same thing. Yes.
Yeah. So that's a good example. So when at Ransom is an example, I asked the audience what they actually, so at Ransom, because I'm there every year, they get to submit questions to me. The students right live in the moment, go up to the mic and ask questions. And they'll ask, what are the red flags? And we'll say, everybody start yelling them out. And they all know red flags. They just don't know the list. But they don't know the list. So suddenly when they're all yelling them, they're gaining ones they didn't think of. And that's a beautiful thing from each other. They're learning from each other. So here are some massive ones that they connect to. Possession versus trust. Possession is, where are you? Who are you with? And you're asking me all the time. Well, why does that matter? So that's a sign of possession. I have to know who you're with, what you're doing, right? Controlling. We go out with my friends, but not your friends, or vice versa, right? We hang out with my friends.
See,
but not your
these
family.
are the things I like from your speech. These are like facts. So I can use it saying it to my daughter or son, right?
Yes, exactly. So are you two independent people, or have you lost it in being one relationship? That's not healthy. Right? They used to say, when you marry, two people become one. I'm vomiting for those listening.
Talk about this. Yeah.
Never. It should be two people sharing one loving relationship, but you should have yourself. They should have themselves. You should have different aspects of your life that are not always together, right? You do have your friends. They do have their friends. That's healthy. And if you only have each other, it actually becomes dangerous because you don't have other voices to talk to and to hear from. So yes, all of those are signs, right? That they'll come up with. And when you ask kids, they have good answers. So it's asking, hey, what are things that you think are red flags? And then you get to add to it versus just starting out going, are you aware of red flags? Let them start it and then you add to it. So they're empowered by the conversation.
How do you, in a relationship as a teenager, when maybe boys are not so mature mentally, but sexually they are more, and they want to do more. Yeah. And then what's the fine line, right? That you don't want to push your girlfriend to do anything.
Yeah. So I'm going to make that.
How do you do this?
Krista, it's a great question. There is no fine line. There's a line.
There is
not a fine line. It's a line.
Nice.
Right? So you don't do anything you're not ready for. Yeah. If you were sitting there going, I'm not sure, that's not a heck yes. Yeah. Right? That doesn't mean that you have to know what you're doing, because right, that's what we want to believe. They're going to wait till they know, but there's that catch-22. Of course, the first time it's going to be awkward, right? But do you have knowledge of what you're doing? That's critical. Even if you've never done it, do I have knowledge about what we're going to do here, right? Knowledge matters. So do I have knowledge? Do I trust? And basically you heard me bring these up in the session with the parents. Do I trust myself with this person? A lot of people will be like, I trust me and I trust them. But do you trust yourself in a sexual
when you're with?
You'll call your boundaries with this person. Well, I don't know that I could stop myself when I'm with them. Red flag. If you can't, we used to have a thing, if you can't moderate, eliminate. So if you can't moderate the situation in your brain and your choices, it's too extreme for you. That's same with addiction or anything, eliminate. So if I can't moderate the sexual choices that I'm making, I need to eliminate that situation for the time being until I can, right? So helping them understand you never owe. This is the phrase every parent should teach. You never owe. Ever. I don't care how popular they are. I don't care how much you like them. I don't care how much money they spent on you. I don't care that it's prom, or homecoming, right? You don't owe, but they think that there's pressure that I have to do something because they are nice, because they like me, because they're popular. The second
they are popular. That's one.
The second you think you owe, we have a nasty power dynamic existing here, where one person's going to get everything they want sexually, and the other one might just be an object for that, never get pleasure, or never even be curious about it because they owe it to the other person, right? Sometimes you have two people who they both think they owe it all the time to each other. That's not healthy either, because neither of you have any boundaries. So it's helping them understand, the question is, am I ready and do I want this? Not am I okay with it? Notice the difference in language. Well, when you're okay with it, here's how to explore it. No. Do you want it with this person in this situation? Which means you could go into Friday night thinking tonight's going to be the night. I want it. I want everything to happen. And in the moment go, I don't know if I want it anymore. And that's okay. You have to want it in the moment. That's the key, right? So I want it. I have knowledge about what I'm doing so that I'm not vulnerable to them trying to manipulate or control me. And I'm not blaming you if they do, by the way, but I want you to have knowledge to just equip me more. And I'm ready. I'm legally old enough, right? The age of consent matters. These are important things. And so this fits my beliefs and my standards, right? You look at all of that and go, if that's all true, then I'm probably not going to regret this. It might not be the greatest experience because it's a first, whatever it is, right? But I'm probably going to at least go, I can feel good about the choice I made in that situation with that person.
So this conversation we have to do with them, with our kids. Like this line, when with your first one, can we say that even with your first one? Do you feel knowledge? Do you feel like check if everything is checked?
Like a checkbox.
Like a checkbox. We need to put it on the fridge. No.
Yeah. So when I was with when you saw me
repeat
do
it
the
every day.
check.
Yeah. Beza, when you saw me do the parent program, I had the stairway. Remember, I had the stairway.
Oh, yes. The middle was the consent. The top.
Right, there was the slope and there was a stairway.
Yeah.
The stairway was the 7 key elements you'd want to have a mutually amazing sexual experience. Right? Most parents can't fill out the 7 steps. They were never given the education, right? So they get 5 of them, they get 3 of them, they get 6 of them, but they don't get all 7. So it's us being willing to acknowledge what we don't know either, right? So as parents, do the research. You look up online, hey, what are ways to talk to my kid and gain skills? And here's the thing that number one reason parents don't have these conversations is they're afraid that if they talk about it, the kid's going to suddenly run out and have it. That this is going to excite their kid or entice their kid. And this is a parent's number one reason why they don't have it. And I say to parents, find me the kid who's excited after their parent sits them down and talks to them about sex. Find me that kid.
I know.
Every parent's like, okay, point taken, right? This is the most awkward
totally.
thing
Now he gave you permission. Yay.
The kids are regretting sitting down they're not excited at the end of this conversation typically. And so you have a myth happening that's stopping you. And the other reason they'll tell me is I'm just not comfortable having this conversation. And this is where I do sort of get in parents' face and say, so let me get this straight. You love your kid. Of course I do. You'd do anything for your kid. Of course I would. Except you won't get uncomfortable enough to have a conversation that matters, that's essential to their life.
Yes, that's very weird.
Kid himself or herself is uncomfortable with the parent talking
They're
about
gonna
this.
be probably.
Yeah. But usually they shut down the conversation. They're like, I don't want to have this conversation with you right now, especially during dinner, because that's when,
there are
usually
times to have it and times not to have it. Let's be clear.
Yeah.
And so I always joke with the parents that when they leave the room with me, do not have it that night. The kids know where you were.
Oh, yes, you told them.
That's
you
right.
told everybody, don't say any word tonight because they're going to make fun of you. It was the same day that you talked to them as well,
That's right?
Yes.
That's right.
Don't 1 week, or you say something like that, 1 week or 5 days later, just bring it up out of nowhere. Something like that.
And if you can relate it to something in the news, it makes it natural. You heard about a TV show that's really sexual on TV. And hey, have you heard about Euphoria on HBO? Let's give an example of a show that they might know. Have you heard about Euphoria on HBO? And they go, yes. You go, well, how do you think that's real compared to actual what's happening in high schools with sex, right? How do you think most teenagers would reflect on that? Notice I'm not saying, how do you make choices sexually? How do you view that projection of it, right? That makes it easier.
Yes.
Or what do you think most teenagers think about that show? Is it realistic? That's even better because there's not a you there. And it allows them to talk freely without judgment. But that's how you start it. Now, look, I have 4 sons in their late 20s to 30. So my kids are 26 to 30. I've got 3 grandkids. So I'm working on the
What happened there? We are the old one here.
You are all younger than me. That is for sure. So because of that, I've gone through this. And any expert that says, well, here's the golden ticket, there's no such thing. You'll have a kid that'll sit down and be great about this conversation. You'll have a kid that'll be plugging their ears the whole time, not wanting to listen to you. And it's still your job.
Still your job.
It is still your job. And so when that kid says, I'm not having this talk with you, you are. This is like the situation. I'm not giving you a choice because it's my job to have this conversation with you. I'll give you a choice of when we have it, as long as you pick within the next 7 days or whatever that time frame. I'll give you that choice. But if you choose not to exercise that choice, I will pick a time after that. But I'll give you that choice. But we're having it. And so parents go, well, that doesn't sound consent-based because you are responsible. This, once again, is a thing you're responsible for as a parent. And so
the kid is sick. You have to take him to the doctor, to the hospital.
For every parent listening right now, assume your kid's going to say something you can't handle. Own it.
Yeah.
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that question, but I will find out. I will find out. I will come back to you. So it's really powerful to say, you don't have to know all the answers. I don't have to know all the answers. But we'll find them. We can find them, right? So you don't have to be the expert.
We're going to look for you, Mike. We're going to look for you. Look, take a look here.
Maybe that's why he didn't give us his mobile phone. He did asking something.
Can I ask a question about peer pressure? What do you recommend to teens when it comes to peer pressure? Oh, you got this, you got that. Oh, you haven't done this. Oh, you have done that.
Peer pressure about sex?
Yes.
Any peer pressure. So in my advanced program, not my main program, we take this head on. What I'm about to say, I'm going to warn your listeners, will be one of the most controversial things you'll hear in this podcast.
Okay.
We open Pandora's box.
We're ready.
Be ready.
There is no such thing as peer pressure in your kids' lives. It does not exist. What's happened is we've named it peer pressure so that kids can feel free of being responsible in the moment. So let me explain. Instead of peer pressure, when I ask students, what is peer pressure? Do you have it in your life? They all yell yes. I go, name me an example. And here's the example they'll all turn to in a heartbeat. I'm at a party. Somebody hands me a beer and says, drink with me. I don't want to drink. Okay, there's our peer pressure moment. Now let's look at the scene. Let's break it down. I'm going to name 2 students just to come up with names, Jesse and Aaron. Aaron gives you the beer. You don't like Aaron. Aaron has no social capital in the school. You don't even like how Aaron treats other human beings. Do you care at all that Aaron has asked you to drink that beer? And every kid, what do you think they answer?
No.
No, I don't care.
Not.
I'll say no to Aaron without any issue whatsoever.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, Jesse comes over and hands you a beer. Jesse you like. Jesse you look up to. You'd like to be like Jesse. Now is there pressure?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
What changed?
Shoot.
It's a female.
No?
No, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
The way you view the other person.
Doesn't change.
Jesse is popular. Jesse is popular, right? Also.
Yep. So what changed is how you evaluated the situation.
Yes, for sure.
That's what changed. You saw someone you wanted to either be like or you wanted them to like you. Who's putting the pressure on?
Me.
You.
I'm putting all the pressure. Now they go, but what if I say no and Jesse calls me a name? Well, why do I want someone to like me who degrades me so quickly? Why do I care that Jesse does this?
Jesse's gonna call me. I'm not cool.
Yes. So I go, okay, great. By the way, I've experienced this in my life. Most of us have. So Jesse says, Mike, no, have the beer. And I go, no. And Jesse goes, come on, Mike, have the beer. Because that's what they'll do. They won't call you a name right away. And I go, nope, I'm still not having a beer. Just not for me. And they call me a name. You're a loser. You're this or that. All right, well, you may feel that way, but I'm not having a beer. Okay. And when you ask students, how many no's do I have to say before they give up? Most are honest. They're like 3 to 5. They're walking away because they're just annoyed. They'll find somebody else. Bingo. So I know that if I hold for 3 to 5 or maybe even 7, they're going to give up on me. Right? That's what's going to happen. The whole difference in the scene is the fact that I want them to like me or to be liked. And so I'm putting pressure to do the thing that will get them to like me or to be liked by. I'm doing it. They are not forcing me to drink. They're not holding me down and pouring beer down my throat. If they're doing that, we're talking about assault. We're talking about battery potentially. We're not talking about peer pressure. So when you teach kids this, they find freedom in it because that means I have control over this situation. When they say peer pressure, they believe they have no control.
Yeah.
That's
So if
true.
that was
No,
peer
this is
pressure,
really
I
good.
can't control
This
my
I
peers.
love this.
Yeah.
I am loving. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's so good.
Drinking it.
No peer pressure. It's
So helping
you
them
putting the
understand
pressure.
it's self-pressure
Mhm.
and call it self-pressure. Because then I can look myself in the mirror and go, why am I doing this to myself? Why am I doing this? And every now and then a student will ask, well, have you ever actually been in that scene? I don't ever bring this up unless they ask. Because I don't think we lead by saying, I did it, you can too. But when students ask, I go, yes, I've never drank alcohol. The last time I did, I might have been, I don't know, 12 and an uncle said, try a beer. You know what I mean? That kind of a thing, have a sip of a beer. But that was it. Not because I have anything against alcohol. My family drinks, my friends drink. I don't try to ever stop anybody else from drinking or monitor their drinking. Nothing against alcohol. Early on, I grew up just thinking, not for me. That's what I thought.
You made a
And then
choice.
I had a negative experience when I left after high school that reinforced for me, not for me. And then I got older and realized, whoa, I'm already hyper. I got to college. I'm already super hyper. We didn't know about ADHD back then, but I am. And I thought, I'm either going to fall asleep or become more obnoxious than I already could become.
Yes.
This isn't for me. So that's a choice I made, right? So people in college would be like, have a beer, Damo. And I'd be like, no, thanks. And they'd come on, have a beer. No. And I said, here's what would happen. The next party, they'd ask me to drive them. They'd ask me to drive them home. They understood the role that I served. Since I wasn't drinking, they had a different role for me. Isn't that amazing how they adapted to the pressure supposedly I couldn't say no to? But when you do, they respect you for who you choose to be in that moment.
Yeah,
And if
so
they don't-
important.
if they don't, this wasn't the person I want in my life.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
100%.
there are other people who will love me for being me.
Yes. You have to wait because
Yeah,
you
that's
know.
right. It might not be in this moment. It
Yeah.
might not be in the next month.
Yeah.
I'm a member of a book club right now. We just had the meeting right before this today. I came right out of it. And so at it, we were assessing, hey, it's been 4 months. Do we all feel good about the group? And I said, hey, I know my passion sometimes. Am I too much? Am I overbearing at times? And one of them said, no, we know where you're coming from. Like you're bringing it from love. And so no way do we ever read it that way. And that was for me to hear. They get me for being me. They had said yes. And I thought, well, then I need to quiet down. I'm in the wrong group. I need the group who loves me for being me.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
So we make the mistake of thinking I need to be less of me in certain places because that's what's accepted in the room. Or I need to be more of me than I am because that's what's accepted. If we could teach kids to be exactly who you are and find the people who love that version of you, that's the gift. That's the gift.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
and I'm going
agree.
to say, finally, I'm going to ask something before you already say it. The dick pic and nude pic. What we should suggest our kids and let them be open to us that when they receive one or ask to send one. I remember you gave a perfect survival kit.
Yeah, the example we will show students is you have a pretend text message on a screen that says, send me a nude. And you put it up on the screen, kids don't even react. You don't even hear a sound. You don't hear a sound. I go, okay, here's a different text and I show a different phone screen and it says, will you help me distribute child pornography? And you verbally hear the school go, oh my gosh, like you hear them disgusted. They're like, that's disgusting. And I pause and I go, it was the same text. What's the difference?
Oh, that's
What's the
why I
difference?
love you, Mike.
But they visually them seeing it helps them. They're like, oh, they'll even be like, okay, good, you got us. Like that's a fair call out because it's the same text. Unless you're both 18 and everybody involved is 18 and it's consensual, that text is true of anybody under 18 or involving anybody under 18. So let's talk about why it's happening because that's the bigger issue. Why are nudes happening? First of all, when somebody sends you a send me a nude request, why'd they choose you? Every parent needs to think about this. Why'd they choose your kid? There's a reason. What would you guess it is? Why'd they choose this person to ask for a nude?
Because they think they gonna send.
Correct. That's the only reason. That's right, Beza. That is the only reason. It's not because you're gorgeous.
The messenger.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with how beautiful or good looking you are. Zero. Because if it was about that, how come they never ask the gorgeous one who will report them? They'll never ask the gorgeous one who report them to the police, the authorities, or the teachers. Never. They ask the one they believe will. Oh, is this a compliment or an insult when you get that request?
Insult.
Most students immediately recognize, well, that's an insult. They think I don't have standards that others have. That's what they're saying by the request.
Yeah.
So that's a wake-up call to go, well, this is offensive. They think I'm the one. And now let me be very clear. This is not two adults in a mature relationship exchanging nudes. That's a totally different ballgame of what we're describing here. And in fact, high schoolers would tell you they're usually exchanging the nudes with people they are not in a relationship with, that it's rare that they're in a relationship when this is happening. So why is it happening? It goes exactly back to self-pressure. It is to be accepted. It is to be liked. It is to feel good about my body. And this is an avenue for that to take place. Here's the horrible part. That's not what actually takes place. So your hopes are not what take place. Humiliation does. Shame does. By the school. I'm not saying you should be ashamed of your body.
Because they're going to share it with everyone. For sure.
And everybody's laughing. And here's the wild part about nudes. Nobody's criticizing the person who asked for it and received it. They're all criticizing the one who took it and sent it. Even though it never would have happened if the first person didn't ask for it in the first place. And distributed it, by the way. Right?
Yes.
They put all the shame on the person who took the picture and sent it when the other one committed 200 crimes. Let me explain. Every time they shared it was another crime.
True.
So they spread it everywhere, committing all these crimes. And they asked for the crime to be committed. They asked you to commit a crime for their pleasure. And then they shared the crimes by spreading more crimes. That's what they did. And the whole world goes, how dare you send that photo?
Yeah.
Yes.
When the world should have said, you never should have asked. The person who asked, you never should have asked. And then when you got it, you definitely never should have shared, right? So helping our kids recognize, here's what we know about nudes. They get distributed. They try to shame the person who sent it, even though you are beautiful and you are amazing. Notice how we're making a positive body comments there.
Yeah.
They don't see that. They unfortunately use it against you. And so you deserve to be treated with dignity and respect, and know that your body is not the only thing that should matter. I'm not saying it doesn't matter at all to love your body, but it shouldn't take somebody seeing a photo of you. And a loving partner would even be like, look, I don't need to see the photo of you. So we actually teach students, if you get an unsolicited pic of anything sexually, the first response should be, don't ever send me again. This doesn't, whatever reason you thought this was going to do, whatever you thought was going to come out of it, I value as a human being without needing to see this photo. So please never send it. If it feels an intimidation move, which it can be an intimidation move, call it out. Don't ever send me again or I'll report it.
Yes.
Right? And you have the right to report it there. You don't even have to give them a warning shot, but you have the right to report it there. But letting them know. And students will say, well, how would I do that? Like if I'm on Snapchat and I say, stop, or I'm going to report you, I'm thinking that, and this is what we teach everybody to do. Take a screenshot. In this space, you might remember this is what we taught.
Yes.
Teach your kid to take a screenshot of the conversation. And just go, but on Snapchat, it tells them I did it.
Good.
Now they know you have the evidence, right? Well, then they're going to threaten me. Screenshot. You have all the power.
The tools.
Relationship. You have all the power. But they believe when they get that request, they have no power. And if I don't do it, all these negative things are going to happen to me. So I have to do it. If parents can empower them to recognize, no, the second you have the evidence, you have the power. If they're asking you to send nudes, that's evidence of somebody trying to commit a crime against you. And you have all the evidence by taking a screenshot. So helping them to learn these tricks, right? These skills. And I don't mean tricks in a tricky manipulation, skills to be able techniques.
And if it's their boyfriends or girlfriends, we will still say the same things.
Because they're not 18. Look,
Yes.
if you're an adult and you choose to do this, that is a choice you have the right to make. And by the way, I don't shame any adult for doing that. I don't shame celebrities when their phones get hacked and they have nudes. I think it's crazy we shame the celebrity. Why aren't we shaming the criminal who hacked? And by the way, if you went and looked online for the hack, you have no right to say anything about the person who got hacked because you are committing the non-consensual look of their pictures they didn't agree to. And when parents get mad about that, they will get mad at me sometimes for that and go, they just shouldn't have taken them. Wait a second. What if somebody walked in by your house and peeked in your window while you're about to have sex and took photos? Well, that would be atrocious. Okay. So they hacked into their phone illegally without their consent and took imagery of them that was consensually given. We should be looking at the person who committed the crime. not the one who took
yeah.
pictures. So there's a fine line in teaching not to shame body, but you would only do this when it's a loving share. You're going to be apart from each other, and you want a picture because you're not going to see each other for a month. Adults will do this, or you're being playful as an adult, but you're an adult body with an adult body, and that's not a crime.
Yeah.
So that's patience here is what we're talking about. But yes, helping them understand your body doesn't define your value.
You have so many highlights. I'm going to have the transcript and make it like a book, and I'm going to read it about podcast. So we said no is not mean. We said you never owe. These were the very important ones. Self-trust is a safety skill. Also, you were mentioning. And there is no peer pressure. It's just self-pressure.
Yes. And every human being deserves a choice. So we ask first.
Yes, that one.
We never assume we can do it with another person's body. We ask. We always have the right to be asked. We should always be asked, right? Not only will I ask, but I will assume my partner will give me a choice. And here's the key one we didn't even really get to. They will respect the answer. So the second they say no, I don't try to change it. I don't question it. I respect the answer.
Perfect.
You want to ask about the 7 steps?
Yeah, because I wasn't part of the presentation.
Yeah.
Could you repeat it just for also to sum it up for our audience?
Just to do it off the top of my head.
Yeah, the 7 steps that you were talking about.
Here we go.
For us.
It is respect. So that's the core first step we're going to take.
Yes.
Next, we need knowledge. You could both want to do this, but you don't know what you're doing. It could turn into assault. Even though you both wanted it, somebody pushes it too far. Somebody reads the situation wrong. You need knowledge. Then you need a real attraction. This is not just an object. This is somebody you're truly attracted to. Then we need trust. Do I trust myself? Do I trust them? Do I trust myself with them? We talked about that, right?
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So then after trust, we need mutuality. So we're both equally in this. You're not talking me into it. I'm not talking you into it. We're both into it. And then the final step there is oral communication. We are talking. This is not an assumption. I'm not reading your body language and guessing. I'm not just moving to the next sexual act without you knowing you want the next sexual act. So that's the 7. Now, whenever I share this, we'll have some parents sort of have a heart attack and go, there's a word missing. There's a word missing. What word do you think is parents freak out that is missing from that?
Love. Protection.
Yes, that's right. Love, Krista.
No.
How is love not there? I did forget safety. I only said 6. Safety is one of the 7.
Okay.
One of them. Thank you for that. But love
I'm
is
bad
the
at
one we
math,
get mad
but I
about.
was doing like,
Where we were short
that.
ones, sorry.
Yeah.
And safety means spiritual safety, intellectual safety, emotional safety, physical safety. It means all forms of safety. That I can trust this person's not going to tell everybody my business the next morning. That's a sense of safety, right?
Yeah.
Here's a sense of safety. You're about to have sex with someone. Can you actually stand nude in front of them and then nude in front of you? Or are you ashamed of your body or ashamed of their body? And why? Like that should be red flags. That something's not safe there, right? So, but when people go, how is love not up there? I go, it's fascinating. They don't see it.
It's in everywhere.
If you have those
part of
7, if you have those 7, can you give me a
love.
better description of love?
No. Perfect. Yes. Yeah. It's all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where parents usually go, well, how do I know, mom or dad, if I'm in love? You'll just know. No, you won't. You're horny. There's infatuation. There's all these things. But if you took those 7 and said, do you have the 7? There's a good
It is love.
there's a good chance you're at least treating each other with love. Even if you're not in love, you're treating each other with love. You're treating yourself with love.
We're gonna, in our description of the podcast, I'm gonna add your survey, Mike.
Oh, awesome.
So the people can fill the form and then they will receive resources from you. How does it
Here's
work?
what they're going to get. I'm glad you brought that up. What they're actually going to get is the stairway and the slope. So if they take the survey is just going to ask questions like what you got out of today's podcast, right? That experience being on today's
discussion. Yes.
Yeah. So they answer those few questions and then it takes them to our website. They're not getting put on an email list. You don't have to, it's going to ask for an email just so we can get you in the system, but you're not getting put on an email list.
That would be disrespectful.
I'm not going to make you get on my email list, right? So, but then it's going to forward you to our website when you're done with the survey. And there it'll say, download the Canic Issue book if you want, download the Survivor's book, Voices of Courage, download the handouts. The handouts are the exact handouts you got when you saw me speak.
Yes.
The slope, the stairway, We didn't even get into how to help your kids feel safe coming forward to you if they've been assaulted. That's in there. The exact words to say to your kids to make that a safer space. So they're going to get all of that as a handout, totally free, and it's just as a resource.
Perfect.
You're amazing that you
much.
give free
Yes.
this knowledge to
Yes.
everyone and going to schools, because you are creating this community for our generation. One girl will know, it will tell the other girlfriend, no, don't answer this, take a screenshot. So it's gonna spread out like
Yeah.
a big
Word of
Well, that's
culture.
the beautiful
Yeah.
part of this work. I'm so old that I
And
have
I'm not
met
gonna ask you how old, but
I don't mean in a bad way. I'm okay with it. But I'm in a place now where students' parents heard me. I have met students who said, my parents heard you speak in high school and they told me you were going to talk about blank, blank, blank. So that's where we know the impact, right? That 30 years later, people can remember a speech they heard in high school, or we've run into that. People, I'm very grateful for this. We've had people change their career after being in the audience because they wanted to have that kind of an impact on this topic. And so we're very grateful for that. And that's the beauty of when you're on a mission. Of course, so to give away the resources, of course. Look, here's what we love doing. We love getting in those schools and being with those students, right? And so if we can get in there, we're going to give away the stuff once we leave the room so they have more resources to keep it going. And that's the same with the parents.
Perfect.
Thank you so much.
to have you face to face here.
Wants to keep you going here, forever. We're gonna have 1,000 questions.
The energy of you three, the spirit of you three is just purely awesome. And it just makes it so much
appreciate
fun.
that.
I can see why people love listening to this podcast.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
It means the world for us.
Yes, it does.
Real talk, real choice. You have a choice. No, it's not me. You never owe. Peer pressure fades.